This is the examination of the hidden human condition.
You're listening to the Hidden Killers Podcast.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi.
There's a lot of things that trigger people to do horrible things, or just be very, very, very upset. And there's a lot of people that are very, very, very upset when someone is brutally murdered for absolutely no reason whatsoever, and then the killers get like a super slap on the wrist sentence. And, oh, oops, when someone's life has been destroyed. This is one of those stories. The sentencing of Heather Anderson, 36, reignited outrage over the brutal murder of Shelley Stamp, who was 34, nearly 2 years ago in her Connecticut home. Anderson, who admitted to the crime, was sentenced to 25 to 30 years in prison by New Haven Superior Court Judge Joseph P. Schwartz. However, Stamp's grieving family has condemned the sentence as insufficient for the heinous crime that was committed. The family discovered Stamp's body after not hearing from her and decided to stop by her apartment in Waterbury. That's where they found her dead inside her home in a pool of blood, having been beaten and strangled with her own jacket during a home invasion, allegedly in pursuit of money for drugs. Anderson, who entered an Alford plea to one count of felony murder, will serve her time in a state correctional facility. During the sentencing hearing, Stamp's mother and sister delivered emotional victim impact statements expressing profound grief and anger towards Anderson. Laura Tajudeen, Stamp's sister, directed powerful words at Anderson, condemning her actions and wishing her a lifetime of remorse upon her, saying, quote, "I hope the look on my sister's face, the cries of help as you brutally attacked her, haunts you for the rest of your life. I hope you rot in your prison cell for the rest of your miserable life, and you dwell in the choices that you've made, and they haunt you for every minute of every day, because you deserve no happiness, no mercy from the court, as you have done for my sister." Stamp's mother, Kathy DeVersa, expressed deep disappointment with the sentence, asserting that the judge had not been served for her daughter's senseless killing. 20 to 30 years is not justice for the brutal and heinous murder of a vivacious, caring, loving young woman in the prime of her life, DeVersa said. She must have been so scared. What a horrible way to die. Looking up at a stranger's face full of rage and desperate need of money to supply your disgusting drug habit. I picture her horrific death in my mind over and over again. No one can imagine picturing your daughter's vicious murder obsessively. In response, Anderson offered an apology to Stamp's family, expressing regret for the tragic outcome of her actions. However, Judge Schwartz criticized the severity of the crime, denouncing it as particularly troubling murder, driven by a callous pursuit of drugs. I agree with the state. It was done for peanuts, for nothing, but for a few bucks to buy drugs. It's unforgivable. It leaves me at a loss for words, Schwartz said. When you murder somebody, you don't just murder the complainant. In a lot of ways, you murder the entire family. Not only have you changed them forever, you've stolen all kinds of memories in the future that they were supposed to have together. Well, then, Mr. Judge, why the hell did you not give a better sentence?
I'm with you.
You're going to say all these things. They're empty words if the actual consequences don't match what you are saying. And it's murder. So it's not like there's a statute here and you can only get this much. No, she can go away forever.
And on good behavior, couldn't she be out in 12 and a half to 15
Probably,
years?
yeah. The details...
That's not long enough.
No. The details of Stamp's murder revealed during the investigation showcase the brutality of the crime. Anderson, along with another woman, Sharon Gersbach, allegedly targeted Stamp's apartment in search of money. Anderson reportedly sought out a man she believed could provide her with money. That individual had previously resided in the same apartment as Stamp, but had relocated to another unit within the building. Surveillance footage captured Anderson's failed attempts to enter the apartment before ultimately confronting Stamp upon her return home. Despite Anderson's admission of throwing Stamp to the ground and stealing from her apartment, including cash and credit cards, she denied trying to tying the jacket around Stamp's head. Police discovered Stamp's belongings in Anderson's possession upon her arrest. While Grisbach faced initial charges in connection with Stamp's death, she was later released on misdemeanor charges. However, her failure to appear in court has resulted in an ongoing search for her arrest. The Stamp family is now advocating for harsher sentences for these types of crimes. Well, this is something where there should have already been. It's another one of these things where we think our system works one way, and then when we watch it actually work, we're like, how the hell is this how this happened? It's because sentences are not strict enough. The criminals are not afraid to commit the crimes. That's the problem, she added. There's absolutely no justice in 30 years. It's an insult to my daughter's life. It's an absolute slap in the face. My daughter, she got brutally murdered and just got 30 years for it. I completely agree. And
this poor woman has no idea she's going home, and this woman's basically lying in wait.
Yeah.
And she did nothing. She probably worked all day, came home after work or whatever, going into her apartment, and then her family found her like that. And then why this woman's like, yeah, well, I did steal the cash and credit cards, but I didn't tie the jacket around her head. And like, I read it was even like stuffed into her mouth. So like, she was choked with her own jacket.
There needs to be accountability for judges that aren't doing their job. And this is one who's not doing their fucking job. And that's another big broken part of our system is that there's no accountability for the people that are making the decisions when they make bad decisions. And there's so much of it.
And how can this woman take an Alford plea when I'm going to guess they have evidence of her using the credit cards? There's video cameras, I think. So they've got the right person. How can she just say, yeah, you have enough evidence, but I'm not going to admit to guilt? How does she even get that option?
I don't know. Alford pleas used to be used fairly sparingly, too. Now we hear it way too, too much, where it's like, it used to be where there's enough evidence to convict. What an Alford plea means is there's enough evidence to convict, but there's some amount of reasonable doubt that can't quite be proven, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, it's like, yes, all the evidence is there, but we're going to basically find you guilty without you saying you're guilty.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
So this woman hasn't owned up to her actions.
No.
Because she took this Alford plea. And then the other woman who was with her, I tried to find more information about her because I'm like, well, what the hell's happening to her? Well, I don't know that she was in the apartment necessarily when the murder happened. I think she was in a getaway car.
Oh, God.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of how it read. And then she went out and used the credit cards. They filled up with gas. You know, they're out spending this poor murdered woman's money.
Yeah.
And then, so they charged her with misdemeanors, let her go out on bond, and now they can't find her.
And they're surprised.
She's probably just off getting high as a kite in some drug house, and they can't find her.
Yeah, it's like, are you surprised that you can't find this woman? You know?
And how did she get, there was a murder.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't she be accessory to a murder? How is this woman only charged with 2 misdemeanors?
Yeah, one would think. One would certainly think that.
I don't know. I'd be outraged if I was a family because, you know, this was senseless.
Yeah,
and it
completely.
was a brutal, horrific murder.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, she could get out of prison in her lifetime.
Very likely. And
go on to do more drugs because what else is she going to do?
Exactly. I can probably almost guarantee that whenever she gets out, probably about 18 years or so, she will be back in very quickly.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advance access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.